Pacific time. All of these recording slides and exercises are archived in our members area, and all of the recordings, only the recordings, are available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/Paul Hoyt. The reasons I do these is because I know that being a successful business owner can be a great experience, but I also know that it's very tough. You need education, training, tools, and team to be successful. And I want you to get to know me, because when you do, you'll know that I really do care about you. I'm not just interested in taking your money, but I really care about you personally. I say that I fall in love with almost every CEO or entrepreneur I ever meet, and I really want you to succeed in every area of your life, whatever that means to you. I want you to find the greatness, the happiness, the divinity that you have within yourself, and then remember it, embrace it, and live it every day as I try to do. My passion is to increase the survival rate, accelerate the growth rate, and reduce the struggle rate of businesses in America. And my vision is to help millions of CEOs and entrepreneurs accelerate their business growth and enjoy greater harmony and balance in their lives, to help them grow and thrive and blast past survive. You can help by passing the word, by sharing one of the YouTube videos that we have, just sharing information on who I am and who we are and what we do to help CEOs and entrepreneurs live a healthier, happier life. Our office hours agenda is that we have an in-depth discussion of a business success principle. We make some closing remarks, special offers, an invitation for next week's session, and then open questions and answers and coaching. First on the subject matter of the day, and then anything that you want to talk about or ask about. I want you to join us in the Brilliant Business Groups on Facebook and LinkedIn. You're welcome to join us during the call today and post your questions and takeaways and comments, because our social media folks will be there to comment and assist you in that process. In Facebook, it's facebook.com/groups, brilliant/brilliant business. And we have a special link for LinkedIn because they don't have a user-friendly link. So it's bit.ly, bit.ly/brilliant business group. When you join us in the Brilliant Business Groups, you'll get the Business Success Principle of the Day postings that we do on both Facebook and LinkedIn, an Energy of the Day posting that I do every morning on Facebook. I think we're up to like number 420 mornings in a row that I get up and share a motivational, inspirational message with other folks. You also have an opportunity to make your comments, ask questions, and record your takeaways from the call. I really want to know that you've been on the call and that you liked it, you got something out of it. And speaking of liking it, you can like my business page on Facebook as well. Today's topic is on planning your exit, leaving your company in style. This is based on a little bit of guidance from the book, How to Run Your Business So That You Can Leave It in Style, by John Brown, who is an attorney out of Denver, Colorado. His firm, Minor & Brown, specializes in exit planning and exit strategies. And I became aware of them when I was a business consultant in Denver, Colorado, and working with my mentor, Dave Mead of the Mead Consulting Group there. We had an opportunity to go to their seminars and webinars and talk to a great number of people who were focused on exiting their business, and that's how I got some experience in that. As always, I try to relate the subject matter of the day to one or more of the key performance areas of business that I defined in my book, The Foundation Factor, published in 2004. And as many of you know who are my clients, I always focus on these 7 key performance areas of business to make sure that you have competence, even excellence in each one of those areas, because I know that's what you need in order to be successful and to grow. And this one is focused primarily on leadership. As the leader of a business, it is your responsibility to make sure that you have all the planning and strategy in place. And one of the most important aspects of strategy that you can do is in the area of exit planning, of finding out how you're going to leave your business. There are 5 primary business environments that we deal with. There's startup mode, comfortable growth mode, rapid expansion mode, turnaround mode, and exit mode. Last week we talked about turnarounds, and this week we're talking about exits. Most of the work that I do is with companies who are just starting or are in rapid expansion mode. Comfortable growth mode clients, normally don't reach out to business consultants because, hey, they're comfortable. But there's a lot of discomfort when it comes to starting something out, discomfort when it comes to rapid expansion, and discomfort when it comes to turnaround mode as well. But I want to round out the portfolio and talk a little bit about planning the exit of your business, because it's real important to you no matter what stage of business that you're in. even if you're just getting started in your business, I think it's an interesting subject of discussion and a good thing for you to focus your attention on, to think about how you might plan to exit your business. In today's agenda, we're going to talk about why planning your exit is so important. We're going to talk about the different reasons people might have for exiting their business, a variety of different exit strategies, forming and managing your exit strategy team, the steps in the exit process, and then, as always, we'll sum it up with the bottom line. So there are a variety of different exit strategies available out there. Lender exit strategy means, how are you going to pay back your lender? How are they going to get their money back, typically with interest? Your employee exit strategy is, how are you going to take care of your employees who are retiring from your business? How are you going to allow them to have a graceful and peaceful exit when it comes to when it's time for them to step back? Your investor exit strategy is really important to your investors. They want to know how they're going to get their money out of the business. How are they going to get their return? They put their good, hard-earned money into the business. When and how are they going to be able to withdraw their principal? And when and how are they going to be able to realize a return on the investment that they've made in your company? And the last one is the personal exit strategy, and that is, how are you going to exit from the business? When and how do you intend to step back from the business? And, you know, the bottom line is, we're all going to exit our businesses at some point in time. We're either going to do it, you know, in a comfortable way, in a graceful way, or we're going to do it in a very uncomfortable and very ungraceful way. And I think it's really best to plan for those things so that when the time comes, you can step back in a way that's most comfortable for you. It's real important, because I want you to be prepared to exit when the time comes, whenever that is. And sometimes that time comes because we planned for it, and sometimes the time came and we didn't plan for it. If you think about how you're going to exit your business and plan for the exit of the business, I am convinced that you will get more for your business. And frankly, you may not want to wait until the next recession. In 2001, 2002, we saw a lot of baby boomer business owners out there who had thought about trying to exit their business in 2002 or 2003, but they really couldn't, because they didn't have a good track record of revenues and profitability during the recession that we had from 2000 to, say, 2002. Then a lot of those business owners built up their business, and again, they delayed on exiting. And then when 2007, 2008 hit, then they weren't able to exit again, because nobody was buying businesses and because they couldn't get as much for their business. Back in those days, having flat revenues and flat profitability was a tremendous accomplishment. And now we're seeing the economy pick up and return again. And my encouragement to people is to build your business back up so that you could potentially sell it and maybe make your exit before the next recession hits. We don't know when that's going to be. We don't know if the recession of 2008 will repeat in 2018 or 2020, but my experience is that we will have another recession at some point in time, and it may be that the best strategy for you is to get out while the getting's good. There are several reasons for selling your business. This comes from a survey that was done a few years ago. Boredom or burnout is the #1 reason why people get out of their business. Having a lack of capital, seeing that they really don't have the capital to continue to grow the business, to sustain the business. Perhaps cash flow isn't as good, and they just decide that, heck, I don't want to go through the capital raising efforts either for the first time or again. Sometimes people exit the business because they don't have anybody to turn it over to. They don't have any family successor. Or they may have a desire for liquidity, and they don't want to have all of their eggs in one basket. And they want to exit the business either completely or partially so that they can take some of the money out of their business. Sometimes, in a lot of cases, it's having to do with the age in your health. You know, maybe your health has turned south on you a little bit, or you're getting into your 60s or 70s or 80s, and it's really time for you to step back. And sometimes people, just decide that I've done this for a while and it's time for me to go do something else. It's important for you also to understand how to exit your business, because it can take a long time in order to gracefully exit your business. You can prepare the business for sale in a period of 18 to 36 months. It can take a long time to locate buyers, negotiate the deal, and execute the transaction. 9 to 18 months is not at all uncommon. And then oftentimes, if you're selling your business to new ownership, you'll have some sort of an employment agreement with them that can stretch from anywhere from 6 to 36 months. 1 to 2 years is pretty common, and that means the total time to exit your business can be anywhere from 33 to 90 months. Now, 90 months is a bit of a stretch. That's 7.5 years. But if you have a very large company and you are the company and all the relationships are yours and it hasn't really had great preparation for exit, you might get up there at a 5 or 6 year time frame. So it's good to think about it right now. What can you do right now to prepare your business for sale, for example, so that when the time comes, when you make the decision to exit your business, that you can do it in a shorter time period than 33 to 90 months or so. And the bottom line is there's lots of times we have an involuntary reason to exit our business. There could be a passing. You might exit your business because you yourself pass away and then you leave it to your heirs and your family. Or it could be the passing of a very key partner in your business too. You or one of your key partners might become disabled. You or one of your key partners might go through a divorce, and because of the divorce proceedings and the liquidity required in a divorce settlement may cause you to sell the business or exit the business in some way. You might just have dissenting owners. And by the way, business partnerships have a higher divorce rate than do other forms of marriage. Along about 70 or 75% of people get disgruntled in some way. They dissent with each other and they find out that it's just not something they want to continue to do. So they decide to exit the business because, hey, I just don't want to work with that person anymore. Declining markets can be a great reason to involuntarily exit your business. There were all kinds of travel agencies and other folks that went out of business as a result of 2011. And in the most recent recession of 2008, when the seminar and workshop industry was off 70 or 80%, the declining market caused a tremendous number of businesses to exit involuntarily. And the last one that we see, unfortunately, sometimes is debt overload. Debt overload can really cause you to exit your business, and that can come in a lot of different flavors. You can have venture debt. So somebody has loaned you money to start your business, and now it's time to pay them back. Maybe you had a balloon note, and it's 2 years, 3 years into the balloon note, and it's time to pay it back. And if you're not able to pay it back, either by raising additional capital or through the profits in your business or by restructuring the debt in some way, they may call it due, and you may have to liquidate the business in order to pay them back what you can pay them back. Bank debt's in the same way. You can have debt overload, or sometimes you may just change your banking profile. In the 2009, 2008, 2010 timeframe, we saw lots of companies get a notice from their bank that they were no longer going to renew their line of credit because they had fallen out of profile. And banks have to maintain specific profiles for the companies that they lend money to in order to qualify for the insurance, especially the FDIC insurance that they have for all of their depositors. So you may fall out of profile and have a bank debt called for you. Can be supplier debt. Debt overload can happen when you fail to pay your suppliers on time, and if you don't pay them in a reasonable way, they might not give you any more supplies, and then you can't earn any more money because you don't have the supplies to earn the money with. And the worst of all is the taxing authorities. If you fall behind on your payments to the IRS, and especially if you fall behind on your payroll taxes or the deductions that you've taken from your employees for their portion of the payroll taxes, you really got to watch out, because those taxing authorities can come and get you without any due process. In other words, you're not going to get notice that somebody has filed a lawsuit against you. You're not going to have months in order to prepare a case like you would with supplier debt or some other forms of debt. If you fall behind to a taxing authority, you may wake up one morning just to find out that all of the money in your bank accounts is gone, because they have the right, if you really owe them taxes, especially if you filed like 941s and know that you owe them payroll taxes and you're not paying your payroll taxes, they can just go in and essentially capture all of the money in your bank accounts. And I've seen that happen to more than one person who thought that they had scrambled enough in order to make the payroll this week, only to come to find out when it came time to pay the payroll that the taxing authorities had taken all of the money in their bank accounts. So don't let yourself get into that situation. That can put you into a situation of involuntarily liquidating your business because of debt overload. But let's switch a little bit to a little more positive frame of mind here. There can be a lot of positive opportunities that can cause you to prepare to exit your business so that you're ready when some really, really good news comes along, like the opportunity to purchase a competitor. Maybe you get one of those phone calls from a competitor that says, you know, hey, John, I've been competing with you for a long time, but it's time for me to exit, and I'd just like to sell. It's just time for me to get out. If you've prepared your company for exit, then you can survive the due diligence required to perhaps borrow money or get additional money from investors to take advantage of an opportunity to purchase a competitor. You might also get a significant offer by a competitor or even a private equity firm to exit your business. Maybe you're the one who gets the call that says, hey, John, we've been watching your growth over time and we'd like to buy you out. What's your number? And if you're ready for exit, and if you've done things along the way to increase the value of your business, you're going to get a lot more money from your business, and you're going to have a far less painful transition process and transaction process than you would have otherwise if you're preparing to sell all along. You might have a great expansion opportunity, see a tremendous market opportunity out there, and if you're prepared to exit, that means that all your books are in order, all your records are in order, that you've got a good track record and a good growth story to tell, and you can take advantage of that expansion opportunity because you're in a much better place to raise the expansion capital that you need to take advantage of that opportunity. And you might have a buyout offer from one of the partners in your particular business. And again, if you're ready to sell, you can take advantage of that buyout offer and maybe go do something else that you've always wanted to do. Your personal exit strategy can come in several different forms. First of all, you can just step back but keep ownership in the company itself. You can either, and if that doesn't work for you, you can shut the doors and salvage the assets, which, by the way, is the least comfortable and unfortunately a very common way that people exit their business. They just wake up one morning and say, you know, doggone it, I just don't want to do this anymore. I just want to sell my business for whatever I can sell the business for. I just want to get out because I'm tired of getting out of bed at 6:30 in the morning every morning or earlier and going into the office. So instead of stepping back and keeping some ownership position or an all ownership position, they just decide that I'm going to shut the doors, that I'm done with this thing. Another way that you might exit your business is if your company IPOs, but that doesn't happen very often, and there are lots of restrictions with regards to how you can get your money out of your business if you IPO. As it turns out, an IPO is a liquidation strategy for your investors, but not necessarily a liquidation strategy for the owners of the business, for the CEOs, for the members of the board of directors, etc. And the last exit strategy that you may have is selling the business. We're going to talk a lot about selling the business today because that's the most common exit strategy that we see. You can sell your business to your internal partners. You can sell your business to joint venture partners that you might have, the people that you work with on a day-to-day basis who may want to expand their business by purchasing your business. You can sell your business to your employees. You can sell your businesses to your competitors, or you can sell your business to third parties. Generally speaking, by the way, you don't sell your business to your family. You generally give your business to your family. So you don't really think about selling the business to your children or to your spouse or something like that. That's not a sales strategy. That's a give strategy. A lot of the things that we're going to talk about, especially when we talk about wealth management and estate planning here in a minute, apply whenever you are giving your business away to your family. But that's really not a sale. It's more of a gift than it is a sale. You can do a partial exit or a cash out. You can sell only a portion of the business to a partner. You can develop a structured buyout over time. I've been talking to a firm down in Dallas who wanted to do that. They have a partner who wanted to buy them out, but wanted to buy them out over 5 years. So they developed a structured buyout program whereby that a percentage of the partner's distribution of profits would go to the other owners, and they would own 20% this year and 40% the next year and 60% the next year and 80% the next, etc. So they were buying out over time. You may also sell a portion to an investor, especially like private equity firms. If you've got all of your eggs in one basket, if almost all of your retirement savings and all of your capital, all of your assets are tied up in the form of your business, you may choose to sell 20, 30, 40% of your business to a private equity firm or some other investor, just so you can take the cash out of the business and do other things with it. Maybe buy real estate or buy that vacation home that you've wanted to buy, or take a little time off and go on a vacation for a while. There are lots of reasons to sell a portion of your business so that you can use that capital to do the things that you've always wanted to do, or to take care of the responsibilities that you have. Your children, your parents, your spouse, that you couldn't do with all of your capital wrapped up in the business itself. In some cases, you want to make sure that you have a succession plan, and that succession plan can include your partners, as we've talked about. You may decide that you're going to exit the business and turn over the ownership and the responsibility of running the business to your partners. It can be to your employees, and it can be to your family. But a succession plan of knowing who you're going to transfer the ownership to, if it's not a third party, is really important for you. And there are experts, especially in the area of family succession planning. I think that's an expertise that it would behoove you to make sure that you're talking to experts in that particular industry. When it comes time to exit your business, you want to make sure that you form an exit team, and form that early in the process. Remember, we talked about that process lasting from 33 to 90 months. Well, on day one, when you're starting to think about, I think I ought to get my exit plan in place, that's the time to form your exit team and develop your exit strategy, because you may need to complete pre-due diligence many months or many years before your exit, so that you have the opportunity to get all of your records and books in place and straightened out, so that then sometimes it takes years to get those things straightened out. You want to make sure that you do that pre-due diligence early in the process, and develop a strategy so that you can increase the value of your business over time. That's what we do with an exit team. And that exit team has 5 different components to it: an attorney, an accountant, an intermediary, or an M&A, that stands for Mergers and Acquisition Advisors, a wealth manager, and a growth and transition advisor. And we're going to talk about each one of these members of your team and the role that they play individually over the next few minutes. First of all, you have an attorney on your team because you want them to facilitate the legal due diligence. The legal due diligence, the pre-due diligence, months or years before you sell the business, and the due diligence that comes in the process of exiting your business. You want your attorney to take a look at your corporate records and make sure that your corporate governance is in place. You want them to take a look especially at your intellectual property agreements and the protection that you have for that, to make sure that's in place. There have been many companies that went out to sell their business only to find out that they didn't have their intellectual property in place, and perhaps they didn't even have the rights and the ownership to the intellectual property that they'd been using over time. I've talked to a lot of people who thought they had a patent, but they really didn't have a patent. I even talked to one person who went to sell their company, but to find out that they had been using somebody else's intellectual property for 4 or 5 years without the rights and privileges to do that, and nobody was going to buy their business, when essentially the business was built on stolen intellectual property, or borrowed intellectual property if you want to be really kind. But from our perspective, it was stolen intellectual property that they'd built their business on. You want to make sure that your attorney looks at your employment agreements, your investor records, and any key contracts you have to make sure that they're in good standing before you get into the selling process, because you're going to need to clean all of this stuff up And if you clean it up before you get into the process, it's not likely to disrupt a deal. But here's the bottom line. You can have a person out there who wants to buy your business for a premium price. They're exactly what you're looking for, going to give you all of the terms and all the conditions what you're looking for. But if they get into due diligence and find out that you have issues with intellectual property, employee agreements, and key contracts, then it can screw up the deal, and the deal might not go through. And then you got to start all over again, and it's going to cost you a lot of money to make that happen. So make sure that you get an attorney on your team to look at all of these aspects that are necessary whenever you sell a business. You also want an accountant on your team. Just like the attorney, the accountant facilitates pre-due diligence and due diligence before you get ready to sell and when you're actually selling the business. They take a look at your financial records, your investor records, your insurance policies, all of your taxes and filings, business license filings, and are a big advisor when it comes to the valuation on your business. They can help working with your intermediary or your M&A advisor to determine what your value drivers are. We'll talk about those in a great amount here in just a minute. But the accountant is one of the primary people who can help you understand what the valuation of your business is and how your company is being valued, and they can help a tremendous amount with the tax strategy. So the accountant and your wealth manager work hand in hand when it comes to valuations and tax strategies. Your wealth manager can help you out with an estate plan, because if you can transfer some of the assets of your company, some of the ownership of your company to other members of your family before you exit, in terms of a trust, in terms of some sort of a gift of ownership, etc., you can save yourself a lot of tax dollars, and the wealth manager will be able to help you do that. They have a lot of creative ways to do that. There's very creative insurance policies, trusts that can be established, employee stock ownership programs that can also be a part of partnership ownership programs. A wealth manager can do a lot to help you make sure that you're minimizing your risk when it comes to securing the wealth that you've built up over the years in your business, and for transferring that asset, especially amongst family members. They can do a tremendous amount to save you on taxes. So you want to make sure that you get a wealth manager on your team. The intermediary and the mergers and acquisitions specialist and advisor are typically come in a couple of different flavors: brokers and investment bankers. Whenever you sell your business, it's actually considered real estate in the same sense as a commercial office building or a piece of residential property is considered to be real estate. Your business is real and tangible property in the eyes of the law, and business brokers are typically licensed by the same licensing authorities that grant people real estate broker license. So you may deal with a business broker, or if your business is large enough, you may deal with an investment banker. Investment bankers are regulated and supervised by a different authority than are the real estate agents. They're supervised by FINRA, which is the federal, I actually can't remember what FINRA stands for off the top of my head, but it has to do with financial regulations and authority, I think it is, that they typically will deal with transactions that are $10 million and above. They might deal with a $5 million transaction, but investment bankers really like to deal with much larger transactions. So you may look at having brokers or investment bankers being your intermediary and your advisor when it comes to M&A activities. They help you with positioning your business, marketing your business, and actually doing the transaction of your business. They help you a lot with valuations, help you find potential buyers, either financial buyers or strategic buyers. Financial buyers will take a look at the cash flow that you're generating out of your business, the assets that you have, apply particular formulas, and come up and understand exactly what your business is worth based upon the financial records that you're keeping and the performance that you've had. Strategic buyers, by the way, may pay a tremendous amount more for your business because they see the future value possibilities of your business. YouTube was purchased by Google several years ago for like $1.6 billion and hadn't had any money whatsoever. They were purchased because it was a strategic buy. And if you can position yourself as being strategically advantageous to a very large company, you may find yourself getting a tremendous premium for your dollars, for your business, over what your financial performance would say would be a value for your business by formula. Intermediaries also help you determine what your value drivers are. And I want to talk about that in a little bit, about your business. Let's talk about the value of your business for just a second. This is a pretty crude chart, but if your EBITDA, and that stands for your operating income, stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, it is essentially the operating income of your business. If your EBITDA is less than $1 million, you may find that the value of your business is 2 to 4 times what your operating income is, and so far down the road, so that the more money that you have, the higher your valuation multiple might be. If you have a business that's got greater EBITDA than $10 million, which, by the way, may mean that you have to have $100 million in revenues in order to generate $10 million in EBITDA, you may find that your business is worth 6 to 8 times what your operating income is. There are a lot of things that can impact that, though, a lot of variables. There's the value of the net tangible assets transferred, which means like buildings and land. There's the perceived risk in purchasing the business and transitioning the ownership and the relationships of the business. There's any sort of anticipated growth that you might have and the growth story that you can tell. The brand ownership and the brand position and awareness that you enjoy in the marketplace, and the different sectors. So retail is valued slightly different than service and distribution and manufacturing. Each one of the sectors of the economy has a different profile that can take that valuation multiple up 1 or 2 points. And your gross margin percent. Generally speaking, companies that enjoy a higher gross margin, 50, 55, 60% gross margin, are valued higher than companies that have a low gross margin, because they've got a lot more cash to pay with when it comes to operating expenses, and typically higher profitability, and typically more funds available for product development and for growing the asset of the company. Typical value drivers include a solid performance history of revenues and profits, steady and improving cash flow trending upwards is very important, and having a growth story. Talking to people about the possibilities of what they can grow with your business and what they can do with your business, and how well your business and their business might merge together to be a formidable force in the marketplace is a great thing. So be prepared to tell your growth story. The story of your growth yesterday and how you grew from, your garage to your commercial office building, and how you're going to grow tomorrow. They really want to see that you've got a capable management team that's not just you, but people who can run the business when you are exited from the business, and other key employees that you might have as well. Typical value drivers include your customer base, the value, the type of people that you're dealing with, and whether or not all of your revenues are coming from one customer or not. It's better to have, by the way, a fragmented customer base in terms of, lots of customers that encompass 2, 3, 5% of your revenues, rather than having one really big company that has 40% of your revenues and your profits, because that's a higher risk. If that one big company goes away, then 40% of your revenues and profits went away. So having a broad portfolio of customers who are well-seasoned and very experienced and mature customers is very good. Doing business with reputable suppliers that you've done business with for years and years is also very good. It's perceived to be much less risky if you're dealing with quality, conscious, and reputable suppliers. The people who buy your business may want to look at the internal systems and processes and see how your internal processes are documented, your training manuals, your procedure manuals, how your information systems are employed, etc., and, of course, the tangible and the intangible assets. The tangible assets being the market value of your buildings and land and inventory and accounts receivable, your intangible assets being the goodwill that you have generated in the marketplace, and the value of your intellectual property. The last person on your exit team is your growth and transition advisor. The Growth and Transition Advisor quarterbacks your exit team with the primary focus of helping you define and accomplish your exit goals. They help you create and execute your plans, your growth plans over time to maintain and increase the value of your business, and they're primarily focused on the value drivers that were identified by your accountant, by your intermediary as being the most important things for you to focus on as you grow your business to increase the value of your business. They're also focused on helping you understand what your contingency plans are. What will you do if you have some sort of involuntary exit required before you achieve your growth objectives? I think maybe the most important thing of all is your Growth and Transition Advisor can help you maintain your sanity during this entire process. It's great to have somebody to talk to who can help you organize the event and who can help you follow the steps through the process of exiting your business. And that's your exit team. So your exit team, this is, by the way, is the most important advice that I could give anybody when it comes to exiting your business, is have a great exit team. Much like you have a great development team and an operational team for the day-to-day operations of your business, you want to have a great exit team when it comes to thinking about and planning the exit of your business. Your attorney, your accountant, your intermediary or your M&A advisor, your wealth manager, and your Growth and Transition Advisor. When it comes time to exit your business, you'll find that there are many steps in that plan. First thing we do is we do a value analysis, talking to members of your team, understanding what your value is of the team today, of your business today, and what your value drivers are, those things which will drive up the value of your business over time. Then we do the pre-due diligence to make sure your accounting records and your legal records are in good shape, and you are prepared to do things over time to get those things squared away so that they are in good shape when it comes time to exit. Then we create your value creation plan, which is essentially your growth strategy over time to increase the value of your business. Then comes the value growth stage itself, and that can be, from 1 year to 3 years to 5 years. It's the amount of time that you spend in between the time that you did your pre-due diligence and you created your value creation plan and the time that you actually begin to prepare your marketing plans and materials and work with your intermediary to seek out those people who may want to buy your business. Other steps in the plan, once we started that, are prospecting and qualifying, working with your intermediary and your accountant and your lawyer to negotiate and structure the deal itself. Then comes a letter of intent. Then comes the final due diligence, and then comes the final agreements in closing. And once you've closed the deal and the initial checks have cashed and gone through the bank, then comes the transition itself. And as we mentioned earlier, you may find that when you sell your business, the person you're selling your business to, whether it be a partner or a private equity firm or a competitor, will likely want you to stay with the business for 12 to 24 months, sometimes 36 months, to make sure that all of the relationships have been transferred from the old ownership to the new ownership, and all of the wisdom, the knowledge that you have in your head about how your business works and how you are able to make your business profitable is transitioned as well from the old ownership to the new ownership. So here's the bottom line. I encourage you to think about how you're going to exit your business from the very start. I want you to understand what your value drivers are and how your business is being valued, because there's a lot that you can do to increase the value of your business once you understand what the value is and how other people will value your business, so that you can be ready to exit and exit when the time comes on your own terms. And if it turns out to be an involuntary exit of some kind, you know that you've done everything over time so that you can make a quick exit in a way that's most graceful and a way that's most profitable. And the bottom line, again, is you want to make sure that you get an experienced team when the time comes. So that's been our agenda for the day, focusing on why it's important for companies, even companies just starting up, to think about how they're going to exit their company We talked a lot about the various reasons for exiting, different exit strategies that you might have, forming your and managing your exit team, and a little bit on the steps in the exit process, and we wrapped it up with the bottom line. So here's your homework. Think about when and how you want to exit your business. Understand how your business may be valued, and think about ways that you can increase the value of your business, and as always, get coaching and support to manage that process for you. We're going to turn to open questions and answers and coaching in just a minute. First, comments and questions on the topic of the day and any other issues you might have. Tell me what your biggest takeaways have been and the insights that you got from this presentation, and tell me what you're going to focus on. Here at our company, Hoyt Management Group, we have a variety of support services that can support you in your business, whatever stage your business is: education, training, consulting, and coaching services, along with our growth management services, which is a do-it-with-you service. Some of the things that we do are education and training focused, where we teach you how to do it for yourself. Sometimes we do it with you, and sometimes as consultants, we do it for you. We put fingers on keyboards and develop your sales scripts, develop proposals, write business plans, etc., to help you do what you need to do to grow your business. We introduced a couple of weeks ago a brand new program called the Awakened CEO. That's for those of you who are on a journey of personal and spiritual growth. It's one-on-one training with me in the practice of awakening and a variety of other things that I have learned over my nearly 50 years of working every day to become a better, stronger, wiser, happier, more joyful, peaceful, and loving person. I want you to call me if you're interested in that. If you're interested in being the best that you can be and taking advantage of the wisdom that I've gained over the years, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you about that. Our next office hours is going to be 1 week from today on February the 2nd, and we're going to do another group coaching session. We did one at the end of December and thought about doing once every month, but hey, I got inspired to do today's session even though it was the last Monday of the month, and so next Monday we're going to do a group coaching session again. For those of you who attended live or who are listening to this recording, come with your questions and answers. I'd like to get a half a dozen, maybe 18 people on the call, and we'll just take your burning issues one by one, and we'll do what I can to help you solve your problems, face your challenges, address the issues that you're facing in your business in the format of a group coaching session. Let me know what topics that you'd like for me to address by going to paulsurveys.com, and in between now and next week, be sure and do your homework. We're going to open it up for questions and answers now. First, on the subject of the day of planning the exit for your business, and then any other issues that you might have. Our contact information is showing on your screen. Give me a call anytime, or go to schedulepaul.com and pick a 15, 30-minute time segment. I'd love to talk to you about how our company can support your company in growing the business and a lot of the other ways that we can support you too. And with that, I'm going to take a breath and see, Stephanie, did we have any questions for today?
We do. Very first one. I have a coaching business. What's a good plan for my exit strategy?
One of the things that we did an office hours presentation on a few weeks ago was on the E-Myth. And the E-Myth really put forward this notion that every business should be a business that has a lot of asset value to it, and that every owner should be planning the business so that it goes on without them. And really, I had this sense that Michael Gerber almost had a disdain for people who had very small businesses, the owner-operator model that I call it. Well, most coaches, and I mean like 90 or 95% of all of the coaches that I know, it's an owner-operator model. I'm a coach and I am the business, and maybe it's me and one other partner in the business, or maybe I got an administrative assistant, but the business is largely the coach. And when the business is largely the coach, you probably don't have a lot of intangible intellectual property out there, or intangible value to the intellectual property that you create. And so exiting your business, you might not even want to exit your business. I know a lot of coaches that just keep coaching for as long as they choose to coach, and they don't really exit the business or sell the business. They just scale back the business. So maybe they're only coaching 2 weeks a month, or maybe they're only coaching 4 days a week, or maybe they're only coaching, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then only till noon. And as they get older and as they choose to do other things, or they choose to enjoy retirement perhaps, they just scale back the coaching business. So I would invite you to consider, first of all, is if you have a coaching business, whether or not you really want to get out of the business. Maybe you want to be coaching people when you're 65 or 75 or 85 or 95 and sharing the wisdom of your years with people. I think that can be a pretty darn good strategy. By the way, is my personal strategy. I'm not sure that I'll ever quit being a business consultant or a personal mentor and coach to people. But over time, I see myself scaling that back, say, when I get to be, 80 years old or so. If you decide as a coach that you want to actually build a business that has an asset value to it, then it's about developing your own coaching and certification programs, writing your books, developing your own intellectual property, bringing partners into your firm, training other coaches where you stop being a coach so much as you are a rainmaker, and you're the person who is the spokesperson for your coaching firm, which, by the way, is a totally different job than being a coach. So if you want to build a business that has asset value and you are a coach, the way to do that is by bringing on partners. The way is developing your own coaching and certification programs, training a lot of people and certifying people in your programs, and building that up over the years so that your company can even have an identity that's separate from your identity, and so that you can gradually step back over time and sell your business over time to the partners that you've gotten and the certified coaches that you've had over the years. So there's ways to do that, but you don't really necessarily have to do that. I've worked, by the way, with lots of coaches to help them develop actually both models. One model is, how do I be more profitable? How do I enjoy my life more as a solopreneur? And the other one is, how do I harness this creativity I have and do my dream, which is to build a great big coaching empire and then exit on my own terms for a substantial amount of money. So either one of those things works pretty well. Stephanie, next question.
Okay. What's a good exit strategy for a service-based business?
A service-based business is a lot the same that we just talked about from a coach. A service-based business gains value based essentially on the number of people who are providing services. So a service-based business that's just you and me is not going to be worth a lot, because you and I might decide that we want to go do something else. We are the assets of the business, and every day the assets of the business walk out the door. But if a service-based business has 20 consultants or painters or construction providers or 50 or 100 of them, then all of a sudden the business has great asset value. If that service business has dozens of clients that you're billing every month, if that service business has great supplier relationships and a big, broad customer portfolio, as we talked about in the service provider, or in the conversation about value drivers, then that service business can have substantial value to it, and all of the customers can be transitioned from one company to another company. There are some exceptions. Accountants, by the way, and attorneys and doctors have a tendency to take their clients with them from one business to the next. Actually, in those cases, the client or the patient is a client of the professional, not necessarily the firm the professional works with. So, but other service providers, if you're a construction worker or a consultant of some kind, or you're providing services like painting or cleaning gutters or roofing or those types of services that have to do with doing work on tangible products, or a service provider like you do computer programming, for example. The more people you have working at your services firm, and the larger your client base is, and the more mature your supplier base is, the greater your value is, and the easier it is for you to step away. If you're in a business that has 10 partners in that business, it's much easier for you to sell your interest to those 10 partners than it is if you're in a business that only has one other partner and you want to sell your business, your interest in the business to that specific partner. So generally, you want to increase the number of people who are providing services at your firm. You want to increase the number of customers that you have and the maturity of your supplier base, and that's the way you increase the value, and that's the way you step away from your business whenever you have a services business. Next question, Stephanie.
Okay. How about an IPO? You talked about that for an exit strategy. Can I do that? Is that something easy to do?
It's not easy to do at all. And by an IPO, I'm talking about, a public offering, a major public offering, typically underwritten by a major investment banker, where you're raising, $100 million, $50, $100 million, $200 million or more in your public offering. As it turns out, since 2001, there's not been near as many of those. I think I've told this story before, but essentially before 2001, the rule of thumb was if you had a business with $20 million in revenue and a $3 million EBITDA and a market capitalization of $15 to $20 million, you could go public. And it cost you, a couple of $100,000, $300,000 to go public. Probably cost you $50,000 to $100,000 a year to maintain your public status, and you could go public. But when Sarbanes-Oxley hit, primarily because of the Enron debacle of the early 2000s, they changed the rules a lot. And when they changed the rules, they required a lot more diligence and a lot more responsibility on the part of the executives who are running public companies. And instead of costing $250,000 or $300,000 to go public, all of a sudden it costs $2 or $3 million to go public. And instead of costing $100,000 to $150,000 a year to maintain your public status, it started costing $1 million a year to maintain your public status. And instead of needing $20 million a year in revenue to go public, now all of a sudden you needed to have $50 million, $70 million, $100 million, a market capitalization of $100 million in order to go public. And as a consequence, the number of firms who went public went down tremendously. Like 80% it went down. Instead of seeing 100 IPOs a year, we'd only see 10 or 20 IPOs a year, because the number of people who had grown their business to the size that they could afford to do the IPO and afford to manage themselves as a public company went down considerably. So taking your company public is not a viable exit strategy for most businesses today, certainly most of the businesses who may be listening to this particular recording or this call. The other challenge, by the way, if you decide to take your business public, if you have the next Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, or Twitter, and you are taking your company public, there are always restrictions on the amount of stock that you can sell as an owner, as an executive, as a member of the board of directors of your company. There are quiet periods and there are announcement periods. You have to announce generally to the public some number of months in advance of your intention to sell a portion of your ownership interest in the company, because that becomes, that's a big antenna buzzing, alarm ringing event whenever the CEO of a company wants to sell a lot of their portion of the assets of the business. So as the CEO of a public company, even if you're the founder of a company, you have a lot of restrictions on when you can sell your interest in the company, sell your shares in the company, and how much of it you can sell at one time. That's why I made the comment earlier that an IPO is a liquidation event for your investors, but not necessarily a liquidation event for the people who founded the company and who are running the business today. So generally speaking, not very many people IPOs, and generally since the range of companies that I deal with have $0 to $30 million in revenue, I don't deal with a lot of companies that are in the process of doing an IPO. I do talk to a lot of companies that dream about having $100 million in revenue and IPOing at some point in time, and I'm thrilled to help do everything I can to help that dream come true. Next question, Stephanie, if we have any more.
Yes, a couple more here. I'm not sure my kids want to inherit my business. What should I do?
If you have a family-owned business, it's really hard to get your kids to inherit the business. By the way, it's something like 85 or 90% of all family-owned businesses don't survive the third generation. Because, as it turns out, being a serial entrepreneur or having that entrepreneurial instinct and having that willingness to go do the dream and to put yourself at risk to do the dream is not something that's generally inherited. And I think that I've seen far more companies say that, my son, my daughter, my kids, they want to work in the business, but they may not want to own the business, and frankly, I'm not sure I trust them to own the business because they don't have the mindset. Maybe they've been had it too good. They haven't had a rough enough life, or they haven't worked for enough other people so that they've developed that entrepreneurial instinct and that tough leadership instinct that one has to have over time. Maybe they're just good folks. An entrepreneur, by the way, somebody who wants to work for somebody else, I love them. I love people who want to work for somebody else because I want them to be working for me. And there's no disrespect at all. Sometimes that's just a choice that people make. Some of us are born to be entrepreneurs, or we decide that we're going to be an entrepreneur, and some of us are born to work for somebody else. Maybe your kids are born to work for somebody else. And if that's what they want to do and they just want to show up every day, being a person of great character and integrity and doing the job that's in front of them, go home to their spouse and kids at night, then God bless them, let them do that. Find somebody else to sell your business to. Make your succession plan be with your partners, or sell your business out to your competitors or private equity firms, and let your kids enjoy the life that they've chosen to enjoy. It's tough, really tough, to pass a business from one generation to the next. And if you choose to do that, like I mentioned earlier, there are specialists who can help you in that to help groom that next generation of ownership and leadership, and really help determine whether or not they're the right folks to be invested in your business and to own the business and run the business. We're at the top of the hour. Stephanie, do we have any other questions for today?
No, it looks like that's it. The other one you already answered.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for those of you who attended the session today live. I really do appreciate you showing up. It's very nice to have an audience out there. For those of you who are listening to the recording, this is recording number 63. So there are 62 other recordings that you might avail yourself of and take a listen to as well. Next week, we're going to do group coaching, so come with your questions, and I'll do everything I can to help you solve your problems, face your challenges, and overcome your obstacles next week on our group coaching call. Until you and I talk again, this is Paul Hoyt wishing you a most marvelous and prosperous day. Bye-bye.